In 1963, a car rolled off a Detroit assembly line that was so fast, so violent, so completely beyond anything the competition had seen, that the people running American motorsport had only one option: ban it, not modify it, not restrict it, ban it entirely, permanently, from every form of organized racing in America. The 1963 Chevrolet Impala Z11, a car that never appeared in a single mainstream advertisement, a car that Chevrolet never officially acknowledged building, a car so secret that dealers who received them were given specific instructions: do not display this vehicle on the showroom floor. And yet it existed. 57 of them, built in a factory, sold to the public, each one capable of running the quarter mile in the low 11-second range completely stock in 1963, when most street cars were struggling to break 15 seconds. So how did one of the largest car companies in the world build something so extreme that every sanctioning body in America refused to let it compete? And why did Chevrolet pretend it never happened? This is that story. The setup. To understand the Z11, you have to understand what Detroit felt like in 1962. The horsepower war between Ford, Chrysler, and General Motors had been escalating for nearly a decade. Every year, the engines got bigger. Every year, the quarter-mile times got lower. Every year, the manufacturers pushed further past what any reasonable person would call a street car. But there was a problem for Chevrolet specifically. In 1957, the Automobile Manufacturers Association, the industry's own governing body, had agreed to a gentleman's agreement. No manufacturer would officially sponsor racing. No manufacturer would advertise horsepower figures. No manufacturer would build cars specifically intended for competition. General Motors signed that agreement, and for several years they honored it, at least publicly. Ford broke it first, quietly, then loudly. By 1962, Ford was pouring millions into NASCAR, drag racing, and Le Mans. Their total performance campaign was everywhere, and it was working. Ford's sales were climbing. Their racing victories were generating headlines, and Chevrolet was watching market share drift away. Inside Chevrolet's engineering department, the pressure was unbearable. They had the talent, they had the resources, and they had an engine that, if they were allowed to develop it fully, would destroy everything Ford had built. The 409 cubic inch engine had already made Chevrolet famous. The Beach Boys had literally written a song about it. But against Ford's new lightweight drag racing Galaxies, the 409 was falling behind. It was too heavy. The car around it was too heavy. And the engineers knew it. So in late 1962, quietly, with no official authorization from GM's corporate leadership, a small team inside Chevrolet began building something that was never supposed to exist: the conflict. The Z11 started with one idea: remove everything that wasn't necessary and replace everything that was heavy with something lighter. The hood was aluminum, not steel, aluminum. The front bumper brackets were aluminum. The radiator support was aluminum. Chevrolet's engineers stripped weight from every part of the front end because they understood something fundamental about drag racing. Get the weight off the nose and the rear tires plant harder on launch. But the weight savings were nothing compared to what they put under that aluminum hood. The Z11 engine displaced 427 cubic inches, larger than anything Chevrolet had officially offered. It breathed through two 4-barrel carburetors sitting on a special high-rise aluminum intake manifold. The heads were larger ports, larger valves, a design that the engineers had been developing specifically for this application. Official horsepower rating was 430. Every drag racer in America looked at that number and laughed. The real figure, measured on dynos away from corporate oversight, was substantially higher. The engine itself weighed less than the 409 it replaced, despite being larger, because Chevrolet had used aluminum components wherever the accountants would allow it. And then they built 57 of them. Not 5,700, not 570. 57 cars, each one hand-assembled. Each one delivered through a network of select dealers to select buyers, mostly racers, mostly people Chevrolet's performance division know by name. The price was $1,200 over a standard Impala. In today's money, roughly $12,000 extra, for what amounted to a factory-built race car with license plates. When the Z11s hit the drag strips in early 1963, the reaction was immediate. Dave Strickler ran one at 11.10 seconds in the quarter mile at 122 miles per hour. Stock. Untouched from the factory. Don Nicholson did similar numbers. Wherever a Z11 showed up, the time slips rewrote the record books. Ford had no answer. Chrysler had no answer. Nobody had an answer, because nobody had seen anything like this come directly from a factory. And that is precisely when the trouble started. The National Hot Rod Association looked at what Chevrolet had built and made a decision. The Z11 was not a production car. It could not be proven that 57 units constituted genuine mass production. The aluminum components were not available as regular production parts. The car existed in a gray zone between street car and race car, and the NHRA decided which side of that line it fell on. The Z11 was banned from NHRA stock eliminator competition. Completely. No appeal. No modification that would make it legal. Banned. NASCAR made the same decision even faster. The Z11 never turned a single lap in NASCAR competition. The sanctioning body looked at the aluminum components, the limited production numbers, and the obvious racing intent and closed the door before it even opened. Chevrolet had built the most dominant drag car in America and had nowhere legal to race it. The Climax. What happened next revealed exactly how serious General Motors corporate leadership was about the 1957 AMA agreement, and exactly how little Chevrolet's performance division cared. When GM's executives discovered the Z11 program, they were furious. This was not a minor rules violation. This was Chevrolet secretly developing and selling factory race cars while GM had publicly committed to staying out of motorsports. The legal exposure alone was significant. The reputational damage, if it became widely known that GM had broken its own industry agreement, was worse. In early 1963, General Motors issued an internal directive. All factory involvement in racing, direct or indirect, was to cease immediately. No more performance parts developed specifically for competition. No more back-channel support for racing teams. No more Z11s. The program was killed overnight. The 57 cars that had already been built were out in the world. There was nothing to be done about them. But the follow-up program that Chevrolet's engineers had already begun developing, a further developed Z11 with even more aluminum components and an enlarged engine, was cancelled. The parts were shelved, the engineers were reassigned, and Chevrolet went completely silent about the Z11. No press releases. No acknowledgement in any official literature. When journalists asked about the car, Chevrolet representatives denied knowing what they were talking about. The most dominant factory drag car ever built had been erased from Chevrolet's official history before most of America even knew it existed. Meanwhile, the 57 Z11s kept racing, just not in stock classes. Owners quickly moved them into modified categories, added superchargers, stripped interiors, pushed the engines past 500 horsepower. Some of them ran deep into the 10-second range. One eventually broke into the 9s. The car that was banned for being too fast kept getting faster because there was no class, no sanctioning body, and no rule that could actually contain what Chevrolet had accidentally unleashed. The legacy. Of the 57 Z11 Impalas built in 1963, fewer than 20 are believed to still exist. Racing destroyed most of them, which is exactly what they were built for, and exactly what their owners did without mercy. Engines blown beyond repair, chassis cracked from hard launches, bodies stripped and cut until nothing original remained. The survivors are among the most valuable American cars ever built. A documented, numbers-matching Z11 in original condition commands well over $300,000 at auction. But the real legacy isn't measured in auction prices. What Chevrolet proved in 1963, secretly, briefly in a run of just 57 cars, was something the entire industry spent the next decade chasing. That a factory, with the right engineers and the right motivation, could build a genuine race car and sell it to anyone willing to write the check. The Z11 was the prototype for everything that followed. The Copo Camaros, the Hemi Cudas, the Cobra Jets. Every factory drag weapon that defined the muscle car era exists because Chevrolet proved it could be done. They were punished for it. Banned. Officially erased. But the idea survived, and that idea became the defining promise of the greatest era in American automotive history. If this one got you, hit like and subscribe. More stories like this are coming.